freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my own grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more weeping, don't you know? No more weeping. No more weeping over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my own grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. I'm going home to my Lord and be free.
Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13. The price Jesus Christ paid for God's children's freedom was with his blood and life. The Word of God lets us know, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. Just as the Jews, who are antichrist, against the teachings and followers of Jesus Christ, and the government persecuted Jesus, they are actively persecuting Vogel Denise Newsom because she is a Christian, African American, and educated. Did you know that President John F. Kennedy uncovered the plot to put black African Americans back in chains and had promised to expose this plot prior to leaving the White House? However, it appears 7 days later he was assassinated to silence him. Are you familiar with the Emancipation Proclamation? This is the executive order that President Abraham Lincoln signed to free the slaves. And you know, those who may know history, he was also assassinated. It appears in this plot to return black Americans, African Americans, back to chains. Innocent bloodshed for your freedom, sacrificial murders that will not be in vain. You may recall some of these relay runners for civil rights. The first leg, Medgar Evers, who was assassinated in 1963. Second leg, Malcolm X, who was assassinated in 1965. In the third leg of the relay, Martin Luther King Jr., who was assassinated in 1968. Here we are approximately 47 years later with 3 legs of this relay, in which you know or may know that it takes 4 legs to complete a relay. So who is anchoring this civil rights relay? None other than Bogle Denise Newsom, a Christian civil rights activist, all-American athlete in track and field. She is anchoring the race to freedom. For many are called, but only a few are chosen. Thank God she qualified and was chosen for this job. Nothing has changed in over 50 years. Listen to the sarcasm of the reporter interviewing Malcolm X.
Members of the Nation of Islam have not used violence even when black Americans were attacked. How do you account for this? Does this in any way contradict some of the basic premises of your movement?
I don't know how you mean.
Well, you maintain, for example, that you will not, or that you should not use violence unless you are attacked by the white man. And I think we can note in the last several years, certainly, dozens and dozens and dozens of instances in which Negroes have been attacked, killed in some instances.
You mean in these demonstrations?
These demonstrations and the bombings, for example, recently in Birmingham, where they killed 4 little Negro girls. And what interests me is the fact is that the Nation of Islam has not done anything to retaliate.
I think you should be happy.
The important thing is, does your lack of action contradict any of your basic principles?
I'll explain it. You should be happy that Muslims who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, number 1, don't believe in any form of integration, and believe that every mention of the word integration by whites, whether it be from the mouth of Kennedy on down to the mouth of the lowest, raggediest white liberal in the street who is beatnik-like involving himself in these integration efforts, if we believed in it, we would integrate, and we would fight anybody who got in our way or made any effort whatsoever to stop us from integrating. If we really believed that the law of the land, the Supreme Court, and other so-called judicial bodies were for real when they talked about integration, we would integrate. And knowing that the law was on our side, and any effort we made to demonstrate toward integration, why, we would know the law should be on our side, if it's the law of the land. If it is the law of the land, then the demonstrators are within the law. And the discriminators are against the law. But to show you the hypocrisy of the law, when Negroes demonstrate for integration, instead of arresting the discriminators, the law arrests the demonstrators. So this is a foolish move on the part of Negroes. And when you foolishly get yourself involved with an enemy, then whatever comes upon you, that's your business. As Muslims, we believe that separation is the best way and the only sensible way, not integration. But on the other hand, when we see our people being brutalized by white bigots, white racists, we think that they are foolish to allow themselves to be beaten and brutalized and do nothing whatsoever to protect themselves. They are foolish. They should have the right to defend themselves against any attack made against them by anyone. If a dog is biting a black man, the black man should kill the dog. Whether the dog is a police dog, a hound dog, or any kind of dog. If a dog is sick on a black man, when that black man is doing nothing but trying to take advantage of what the government says is supposed to be his, then
Wake up. Dealing with the dogs.
Should other black men help that particular person who was attacked?
I think you'll find, sir, that there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it. No federal court, state court, or city court will bring an end to it. It's something that the black man has to bring an end to him.
Under the plot of enslavement, they implement a plan to divide and conquer. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. John 1:11. Malcolm X, being a Muslim whose funeral was at a Christian church, under Willie Lynch, bring about division through hatred, envy, jealousy. Implement a plan to push black on black crimes and let them take each other out. For many are called, but few chosen. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Under Willie Lynch, you will always have those who think they can always be a better leader or do a better job. One is easier to control, blackmail, silence, and discredit when he or she has blood-stained hands. Under the plot of enslavement, take out the head and watch the sheep scatter. Since the deaths of three chosen civil rights leaders, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr., qualified by God and chosen for the task, hated by many, where has the civil rights movement gone since the deaths of Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr.? African American men having the respect and fear of the United States of America's racist government and white supremacists? Nowhere. Yes, we go there because this is a serious and critical matter under this plot of enslavement, where there are leaders made by man badly wanting attention and craving the spotlight. Here we are over 50 years later since the civil rights movement began, and this is what is being carried out under their watch. In this 21st century, the racist killings, murders, brutal slayings of our young African American, Black American, or people of color men, such as Trayvon Martin, Danny Chinn, Frederick Germain Carter, Jonathan Farrell, Freddie Gray, Walter Lamar Scott. This is what Martin Luther King Jr. said about Malcolm X. While we did not always see eye to eye on methods to solve the race problem, I always had a deep affection for Malcolm and felt that he had a great ability to put his finger on the existence and root of the problem. He was an eloquent spokesman for his point of view, and no one can honestly doubt that Malcolm had a great concern for the problems that we face as a race. Oligarchy, meaning few, meaning to rule or to command, is a form of power structure in which power effectively rests with a small number of people. These people could be distinguished by royalty, wealth, family ties, education, corporate, religious, or military control. From our research, for instance, we found that Barack Obama, according to his family tree, is related to the Bushes, the Clintons, Queen Elizabeth. So do you see how oligarchy works in a government that is trained to resort to despotism? It all remains up under the same umbrella. They knew prior to putting Barack Obama in the White House that he was a relative in this oligarchy. They knew he was related to Queen Elizabeth, Hillary Clinton, George Bush, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, Dick Cheney, and many others. So this is all a part of how despotism is formed and how it operates. No, your votes don't even matter. It is all controlled by an oligarchy.
Community trains its teachers.
Bear this in mind. Young people cannot be trusted to form their own opinions. This business about open-mindedness is nonsense. It's a waste of time trying to teach students to think for themselves. It's our job to tell them.
And when teachers put such training into practice, despotism stands a good chance. These children are being taught to accept uncritically whatever they're told. Questions are not encouraged.
How can you ask such a question? Have you got a textbook?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it say here that our law courts are always just?
Yes, ma'am.
Then how dare you question the fact? Sit down.
And so we aren't surprised when...
But it must be true. I saw it in this book right here.
A community rates low on an information scale when the press, radio, and other channels of communication are controlled by only a few people, and when citizens have to accept what they're told. In communities of this kind, despotism stands a good chance.
How does the United States of America explain giving control of information and control of the press, radio station, television, and other channels of communications to one segment or two? The Jews and their legal counsel Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz. That's unacceptable. So that they can control the information that the public or the world receives. This is why they come after Vogel, Denise Newsom's social forums. They're trying to control and keep the public or world from getting the truth. As you see, they have failed. And no matter how hard they try, the information is getting out there. Hello, wake up. The inevitable is coming. Barack Obama's change you can believe in is aiding and abetting in returning blacks back to slavery. Working for the Jews and Ku Klux Klan to put blacks back in chains. Surely you've heard the term House Negro. Well, listen for yourself to Vice President Joseph Biden's 2012 comments acknowledging the plans to return blacks back to chains.
Banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
No change. Look how it was then during the rise and height of the civil rights movement in the 1960s? Do you see any difference now, even as recent as 2015? Were you aware that the United States of America uses lies for purposes of beginning wars? Why? Because the United States of America used wars to train white supremacists. And then from there, these white supremacists use such tactics they learn in the war for training purposes of their children. Yes, I understand it's going to be hard for many to believe that United States President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama are clients of the Klan's law firm, Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz. However, you will see in this video or presentation the evidence. Not only that, don't forget, do you remember Judas, the one who betrayed Jesus Christ? Yes, the man who betrayed Jesus to the Jews. John, the 14th chapter, 12th verse. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. Mirror, mirror on the wall, does your life mirror that of Jesus at all? The United States of America's government has been hijacked by those who are trying to implement a despotism government. Listen to Washington insider Newt Gingrich, who was former Speaker of the House. He himself verifies and states, because I guess he has knowledge, of 3 people in a room that nobody's allowed to go into, being in control of running and making the decisions. So these are people operating behind the scenes. This type of what I call hiding behind the scenes is a well-known practice of Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz.
Republicans. I asked Leader McConnell about the division within the Republican Party. How severe do you think that is, and what's the impact of it?
Well, I think there's a real internal argument underway, and it's partially over the very nature which we're setting up once again of these kind of negotiations. We're now going to spend 60 days or 90 days totally fixated in the media on, the next big crisis. And then the crisis will go down to the White House, and then there'll be secret meetings. And then at the last minute, we'll once again produce 2,400 pages no one will have read. It is exactly the opposite of healthy self-government. And I think that people are fed up. If you're a House member and you thought you won an election and you came here to do something and you're told, actually, your job is to sit around for 2 or 3 weeks while all the real work is done by 3 people in some room you're not allowed in. You inherently build up hostility. And I think that we're seeing the same dance start over again. I said 11 months ago, they will end up at the last minute doing something in secret which no one will have read, because you could just see the dance.
Well,
No, God does not want his people ignorant. He said, for my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. So we want to give you some insight, some knowledge and information we believe that will be fruitful for you. We are going to start addressing some of the faces, some of the members of the Klan movement that's working behind the scene to return Black Americans, African Americans, it appears, back to slavery. Do you recognize this guy, Lance B. Leggett, one of Baker Donaldson's, a member of the Klan's firm? Well, he is senior advisor to the Executive Office of the United States President and also counsel to the Deputy Secretary of the United States Department of Health and Human Services. So at least y'all know, hopefully, this will give you some insight who actually drafted and put Obamacare out there. Mr. Leggett is the chair of the Federal Health Policy Group at Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz. Yes, the Klan has a headquarters in Jackson, Mississippi. It appears located at Meadowbrook Office Park, 4268 I-55 North in Jackson, Mississippi. Yes, Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz provides legal counsel advice to the United States President and other state and federal government agencies. We are pulling off the hood so you can see the faces behind the criminal activities. How is it that Vogel Denise Newsom knows about Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz? Well, for some stupid reason, they decided to stick their heads out in the lawsuit Newsom versus Entergy in New Orleans, Louisiana. And in that lawsuit, they took a shellacking so bad that they had to recruit and bring in tainted and corrupt judges who are known to take bribes, kickbacks, to throw lawsuits on behalf of law firms such as Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz. Here is an excerpt taken from one of the articles that ran in December 2010 when the Senate removed federal judge G. Thomas Portis. Yes, he was impeached. And now let's go over here and look. I pulled this list of judges that I find on Baker Donaldson's website. I guess it's to send us subliminal messages to let people know the power they have in the judicial system. Not only that, the judges that appears to be in their back pockets, like Judge G. Thomas Portis, who was impeached because he took bribes. He was, kickbacks, things like that, for purposes of benefiting law firms like Baker Donaldson and its clients. Here is a list of offices or locations that the Klan's law firm, Baker Donaldson, advertises on its website. So you can see they have an office there in Jackson, Mississippi, as well as in New Orleans, Louisiana, where these legal actions I'm sharing in this presentation are. At one time, Baker Donaldson even had the audacity to post the listing of the federal government agencies, only a few of them, because it is legal counsel to the federal government and state governments, executive, legislative, and executive branches. So at one time they were even advertising these government positions out on Martindale Hubble. But shortly after Vogel Denise Newsom started going public, they made sure they scrubbed that information. And all they simply did was do what they call a nice little layout on their website, listing these jobs or government agencies. In 2012, during the presidential run for re-election, President Barack Obama did an interview with Univision. And in that interview, he made a statement that you can't change Washington from the inside. So one may reasonably conclude that the only way to change Washington is from the outside. So Obama spoke, so shall it be. On or about July 13, 2010, Vogel Denise Newsom sent an email to United States President Barack Obama and many other federal government officials entitled, U.S. President Barack Obama, the downfall doom of the Obama administration, corruption, conspiracy, cover-up, criminal acts made public. Then approximately 4 days later, in retaliation to Vogel Denise Newsom's July 13, 2010 email, here comes President Barack Obama, his banker J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, and their lawyer Baker Donaldson unlawfully and illegally seizing Vogel Denise Newsom's bank account and for child support. When Vogel Denise Newsom has never been married, neither has she birthed nor adopted any children. And this was done without a court order. Nevertheless, look at the last line of the document. A court order is required. But this is how out of control and how stupid and ignorant the United States government is and the Jews to destroy Vogel Denise Newsom's life. Yes, J.P. Morgan Chase Bank is President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's banker. And they are represented by Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz. Have you heard of Jim Messina? Well, he is the campaign manager, deputy chief of staff, director of personnel for the transition team for United States President Barack Obama. It appears he is also associated or connected with Messina Staffing or Messina Management Systems. This is the employment agency in which Vogel Denise Newsom worked over in Cincinnati while at the Garrison firm Resolution Group. While at that firm, President Obama and his administration came after Vogel Denise Newsom's job. So don't believe the false job employment report that President Barack Obama's administration is releasing. The drop in unemployment claims may be due to the fact that the individual's unemployment benefits have run out and they were not eligible for extensions. I'm going to let you listen to the termination voicemail for yourself.
First saved message.
Hey Denise, this is Justin Rame with Messina Staffing. I know we talked earlier today. I just wanted to let you know that Garrison and they called me and they decided that today is going to be your last day, and that they do not want to extend your contract. So don't go in Monday morning. I will get your stuff, and you can come by sometime Monday afternoon and pick it up from our office. Send me your resume. I'll look over your resume, and if there's anything else that comes up that we can get you in for, we'll do what we can. I'll send you an email and everything. If you want. We'll just talk Monday. I'll probably be out of the office this weekend. Thanks. Bye.
End of message. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press sent Friday, October 21st at 4:43 p.m. Saved message from 51377499083. 1 minute, 12 seconds. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9. Resave.
How stupid is this? It appears that President Barack Obama and his legal counsel Baker Donaldson, upon learning that Messina Staffing and the Garrison firm Resolution Group had terminated Vogel Denise Newsom's employment, this is when he decides to come out and make the announcement that they were bringing the troops home from Iraq. Baker Donaldson is also legal counsel, like I said, for the President of the United States. So when George W. Bush was in office, who do y'all think drafted the Iraq Study Group report? It appears none other than Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz. You want to see how stupid President Barack Obama and his legal counsel Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz are, along with their campaign manager, deputy chief of staff, director of personnel, Jim Messina. They terminated or had Newsom's employment terminated. Then when Vogel Denise Newsom posted the voicemail and presentation out on the forum for the public and the world to view and see for themselves, they used their ties and connections to YouTube to have it removed. The Garrison firm Resolution Group at the time of Vogel Denise Newsom's employment was handling the payouts in the 9/11 attacks. So you all can see why they didn't want her working there, because of what she uncovered. Then the Garrison Firm Resolution Group was stupid enough to file a lawsuit against Vogel Denise Newsom to silence her, trying to say she had copyright material. Of course, Vogel Denise Newsom did not entertain such stupid lawsuit. No. In fact, when Vogel Denise Newsom went public and filed her pleadings in the lawsuit, letting them know that she wasn't going to engage in such foolishness, guess what the Garrison Firm Resolution Group did? They had the case sealed so that the public wouldn't be able to go and pull the records and read the pleadings. About January 30th, 2011, Vogel Denise Newsom submitted to the attention of Kentucky Senator Rand Paul an email entitled Investigation of United States President Barack Obama. Senator Paul, urgent assistance is being requested. How stupid is this? Then, on the same day that Kentucky Senator Rand Paul's office called me in regards to my January 30th request for investigations, Obama and his legal counsel, of course, Baker Donaldson's using a fronting firm here, that they're pulling the strings behind the scenes like they always do. And it's been made known in public documents, court documents, this is what they do. They work behind the scenes to keep their identity hidden. They request copies of Barack Obama's birth certificate. Now, common sense would tell you that here this guy is, President of the United States, with passports, and you know when you get a passport you have to have your birth certificate. So why didn't he just pull a copy of his birth certificate from his file cabinet or wherever he keeps it at the house? In other words, the birth certificate that he used to get his other passports with. They just think Americans are just that stupid. Or African American, black Americans are just that stupid. They wouldn't be smart enough to think that through. How stupid is this? On May the 27th, 2011, in other words, the Wednesday following Rand Paul's office call to Vogel Denise Newsom, President Barack Obama releases this fake, forged certificate of live birth. Vogel Denise Newsom's background is in paralegal work, legal assistant work. So on this document, she notes the discrepancy with it. This is just unacceptable. Think about it. Do you have a copy of your birth certificate? Or do you know where to get a copy of your birth certificate at? Why didn't Barack Obama just provide a photocopy? Let's say, for instance, as the Nordic twins, the alleged birth certificates for the Nordic twins that were also born in Hawaii around about the same time. Look at how their birth certificates look versus the certificate of live birth released by President Barack Obama. Then about May 1st, 2011, President Barack Obama then comes out and makes an announcement that they have killed Osama bin Laden. Now, isn't that a coincidence that they killed the man almost a week after Rand Paul's office called Vogel Denise Newsom? And remember, there was no live footage. All was done on the computer. It was computer generated. No body of Osama bin Laden ever provided to support claim of killing. 4 or more different accounts of the killing by President Barack Obama's administration alleged to be due to intelligence. When President Barack Obama and staff members watched the alleged 40-minute firefight in the Situation Room, no Pakistan government officials or Pakistan citizens responded to a 40-minute firefight shootout attack right down the road from Pakistan government agencies, military forces. No documents have been released under the Freedom of Information Act. So much for transparency and constitutional rights. Legal actions have been filed to get to the bottom of these lies. So just keep in mind that on about May 1st, 2011, United States Barack Obama lies about the killing of Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden has been dead since about 2002. From research and reports that I have found. Here is the calendar of events, just showing some of the things that occurred from the time Kentucky Senator Rand Paul's office contacted Vogel Denise Newsom April the 22nd. For instance, on the 25th, that Monday, some may recall that was when Mississippi Governor Haley Barbour came out and announced that he would not be running for the President of the United States in 2012. Of course, he was like one of supposedly the favorites. Well, the reason being is because his administration and that John Lewis, the constable of Hinds County, Mississippi, was involved in the unlawful illegal kidnapping of Vogel Denise Newsom on February 14th, 2006. And then the affiliation with the Klan. It would not go over well. All this will come out in the laundry or the cleaning. And then, guess what branch of the military that they used, supposedly, during the Osama bin Laden raid? The Navy. Yes, former government Raymond Mabus is the Secretary of the Navy. And yes, he is an employee of the law firm of Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz. Here you will find 3 of the documents that we believe put Barack Obama back in the White House. Not the votes. Why the plug was pulled on Mitt Romney at the last minute, and why he didn't have his concession speech. On October the 29th, 2012, we posted in our SlideShare forum a document entitled Obama Fraudgate, Following the Smoking Gun Trail, Understanding the Game and Why There Will Be No Change. 2012 November election. How was one law firm allowed to hijack the United States of America's government and bring about the global economic collapse through their policies and criminal practices? Also, the October 30th, 2012 United States Supreme Court filing, which was received a day before the November 6th, 2012 elections. We also posted in our SlideShare forum a November 4th, 2012 document.
Well, we always say elections have consequences, especially for the losing campaign. It's clear the Romney campaign was prepared for a victory election night. Sources today told of the moment Romney himself said, quote, it's not going to happen, while his wife Ann cried by his side that night. The campaign victory celebration fireworks in Boston Harbor had to be taken down, disassembled. And then somehow this ended up on the web. The Romney Presidential Transition website, featuring the official logo of the president-elect, a section on the inauguration, and how to join the Romney administration that, of course, wasn't to be.
Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, Berkowitz, and those it colludes with have engaged in criminal stalking and other crimes against Vogel Denise Newsom because of her race, coming after her jobs, coming after her bank accounts, coming after her residences, having her kidnapped and held in a jail cell, going as far as having false criminal charges brought against her that were dismissed. Criminal stalking that spans well over 20 years. News, Baker Donaldson, and a Jewish-controlled media have done their best to hide from the public and world, but have failed. There are those who have asked Vogel Denise Newsom whether or not she's heard of the Koch brothers, the Illuminati. Well, actually, Vogel Newsom doesn't know very much about them. But the question to them is whether or not they have heard of Jesus Christ, in which the Jews and the government crucified. If not, then they need to get to know him. Because Vogel Denise Newsom is not afraid of them, neither is she fearful of them. For the Word of God says that greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. So, Vogel Denise Newsom knows about Jesus Christ and that in which the Jews and the government crucified. Not only that, in the Newsom versus Entergy matter in New Orleans, Louisiana, yes, there was a coach that made an appearance in that lawsuit by the name of Amelia Williams Coach. Oh boy, did she take a shellacking. She took a shellacking so bad in that lawsuit that the law firm that she works for, Baker, Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz, it appears had to pay the judge bribe money, blackmail money, to keep him silent and to throw the case. But nevertheless, we move forward. Not only that, the Word of God let us know, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I loved you. Revelation 3:9. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand, until I make thine enemies thy footstool. So no, again, I reiterate, they have come after the wrong Christian, and they have come after the wrong African-American person, and they are picking on the wrong nation of people, black, African-American, and or people of color. So, no. Vogel Denise Newsom is enjoying it because she serves a God that will take them down in good fashion.
Should other black men help that particular person who was attacked?
I think you'll find, sir, that there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together.
So we close with the question, how important is your freedom? Do you value it? What legacy are you leaving for the children?